voice of the Mets, one of the voice of the Mets, along with Howie Rose and all the other guys, Gary and Keith and Ron, everybody, Eddie Coleman, who joins us now. Eddie, welcome. What's happening?
How are you, Mike? Yeah, what's happening? I don't know. Same old, same old.
Well, Eddie, you know what I want to ask you? Your girls, what would happen with their colleges? Were they seniors? Was one a senior in college
No.
this year?
My oldest was working in New York.
Right.
She's moved back home.
Right. She graduated already?
She graduated, yeah.
Okay.
My youngest was a junior at St. Mike's up in Vermont. She's a lacrosse player, and she had her lacrosse season canceled like everybody else's stuff. But
so
she's
what
home
happens
as well.
now? So she's home and she didn't go back to school, right?
No, she did not go back. She's been doing all her stuff online, driving us crazy here.
Right, yeah.
but she's everybody's safe. It's like the old days. I got the kids back home.
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, mine. Mine obviously didn't go away to school yet, but I want them to go away to camp now this summer. That's for sure. So they've been in the house so much, but it's crazy. Everybody has full houses again. So everybody has all the college kids home, and I guess not just that. A lot of the young workers, like your daughter. A lot of the people who were young workers in New York went home, right? A lot of them left the city and went home during this time.
Well, it was interesting. Like, she's working. I just booted her out of the chair here so I could do this with you. She's working at my desk, working. She's a media buyer for a company in New York, and she had an apartment in New York that she got last year, but the lease was up at the end of April. So we decided to put the stuff in storage for now. The heck with the lease, because you don't know when you can go back in, and we'll figure out, afterwards where you're going, and we'll find another place. So she's home for now, or back home for now.
What did you think of we know the plan that had the players all away for a long time was axed by a bunch of the players, especially Kershaw and Trout and the like. Did you like the 3-team, 30, the 3-10 league, 10-team league thing with the Yanks and Mets in the same division? Did you like that thing?
I kind of like the Yanks and the Mets in the same division, Mike, but I wasn't crazy about the 3-team breakup. I think, or thought all along, and again, I don't think any of this is easy. I don't think any plan is simple. Let's put it that way. But the one I liked the best was the Arizona-Florida one, where everybody kind of went back to their spring training homes. I think as far as less confusion, I think that's probably the best for a lot of players.
But the players didn't like that because they're away from their kids too long, right? I guess that's the idea, right?
Well, I think the Arizona plan was in particular that. They didn't want to go someplace and be one place for 4 months and, kind of be sequestered for 4 months. The Arizona-Florida one would at least, I think you would be able to go home. If you had your family at a spring training home, you'd be able to go home as long as you were tested regularly, and I guess, your family probably was too. I don't know if that's viable or not. I don't know what's viable at this point.
What have you heard about broadcasters? Have they talked to you guys about anything as to how you would do this? Would you do it from a studio up here, or would you do it from down there?
I think it would be a studio up in here in New York. I think that everyone is kind of resigned to that at this point.
So all the announcers would be doing the games from a studio.
I believe so, because I think when you actually get to the stadium, you've got to cut down as many people as you can. I don't know how they're going to do it, but I would imagine that just say the TV broadcast crew in particular, they would have their own people along with them. I don't know if you can do that. You're probably going to have one broadcast crew for a stadium, one or two, that could switch off, and then everybody is going to have to kind of use those crews. I think it cuts down on the number of people that you deal with, and that's why I think the announcers probably are going to be back in studios broadcasting TV off TV and radio off TV as well, too. I think
like the old days.
Probably. Yeah, exactly. I think it's probably the only way to go. Well, it's interesting because a lot of the Spanish stations and a lot of the teams that have Spanish broadcasts, the Spanish broadcasters don't necessarily travel with the teams. They will do games from a monitor when the team is on the road. So I guess we're all going to have to kind of get used to that at this point in time. At least that's everything that I've gotten so far. That's probably the way it's going to be, unless things really clear up, and it doesn't look like it's going to clear up that much in a short amount of
Well,
time.
no, and you get the idea that nothing happens for the players until they feel they are confident there's some testing program they feel comfortable with. And that's
Sure.
where Bloomberg comes in today, because he could turn out to be a savior here, because he's the one guy who actually has the brains and the money and the manpower, using Johns Hopkins and his whole charity to
Hmm.
maybe get tracing done. I mean, if anyone can do it, it's him. I mean, he's the one guy, and he's now dedicated, along with Cuomo, to do New York State. He should be doing the whole country, but that's too much politics. It's not going to happen. He should be
Right.
the guy in charge of the whole country. But if he just gets New York State done and everyone follows what he does here, that would be a big positive, because they have the manpower. They have Johns Hopkins. They have a plan in place. I saw it today, and I mean, they feel they can actually do this. It might take a month to get it started, but it looks
Hmm.
like he at least feels he can do it. And if you're not going to use him, I don't see how it's possible, because he's got the money and he's got the stuff in place to do it.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, listen, we need testing, we need tracing. I mean, I don't know about you, Mike, but you look at, it's funny. I mean, I'm here with my two girls, my wife, and you've got your family at home, and you kind of look around and you say, I have no idea whether they have COVID. Whether
We've
I
kept
do.
them
Nobody does.
home because we just, first of all, if they tell you if you're our age, you got to worry. Number one, so
Hmm. Right.
the doctor said don't get this, and he said that to my wife and to me. He said don't get this. Just make sure you don't
Yeah.
get it. Stay away. So the kids pretty much. Let's be honest. They kind of shut them down anyway. Their schools got shut
Yeah.
down. They've been
Hmm.
and no one's really gone anywhere. So they've been around the house for the most part. I mean, they go out and play. They run around a little bit, but they don't go anywhere. Their leagues have been shut down. Their teams have been shut down. Their schools have been shut down. So they haven't really gone anywhere. So we haven't had that many people around, to be honest with you. I mean, I think we're like
Yeah.
everybody else. We see everybody when
That
we go for a walk, or play golf, but that's it.
Yeah, no, that's a good thing. You worry sometimes. Even just the simple fact, like my daughter goes to, she's made the last couple of runs to the supermarket.
Yeah.
So
Even
they go to
that,
the
yeah, we've been
supermarket
pretty protective even from that standpoint.
yeah.
So, I mean,
Mhm.
I don't know if the kids. Now, I saw a thing today that said kids under 18 aren't carriers. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but that was a report today, and I'm like, hey,
Neither
that would
do
be
I.
great if that's true. But how do you know it? I mean, how would anybody
Exactly.
know that? I mean, it sounds nice. It was a report today. It was, matter of fact, it was Bloomberg that had the report, and I'm saying, well, it sounds good, but how do you know it's true?
Yeah. There's a couple of things on baseball that still perplex me, and I guess worry me
What's that?
about how it's going to go. Well, one thing is and I know the owners want to do this as soon as you can, and that's transition to home ballparks. But I don't know how they're going to do that, and I don't even know if it's equitable. If you know what I mean? Is it fair for one team to be able to transition back to their ballpark, like say at Toronto? Canada has not had that much of an infestation. They have a dome stadium. They could maybe move back there, but you look at the Yankees and the Mets. I'd be shocked if they're going to be able to play games in these stadiums before, certainly by the summer. I don't know about later on, but I just don't know how they can pull that off, and whether it's fair and equitable to everybody else, as some teams can go to their home ballparks and others can't. I don't know how they're going to do that.
I think it's a big issue. I think New York is going to be very slow, and it has to be,
Yep.
because there's no way to socially distance here. And let's be honest, all these sports, everyone's planning on not having any crowds until next year at any building. I mean, look at what's been canceled already. The only thing coming back that's scheduled is golf, and they're not having any fans. Saratoga's already been canceled. The Little League World Series got canceled today.
Little League World Series.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Hall of Fame ceremony got canceled already.
Right.
All of Saratoga got canceled. So that's already 40 dates that got canceled. So that's out. They're not having the sales there either. I know a couple of guys told me today that there's more than a few NBA owners who were today calling on the league to cancel the season. I don't know
Yep.
I don't know if that's. I know a lot of guys feel that's what makes sense now, but I don't know if that's the case. I know the players don't want it. They want to play some kind of playoff. I think now there's, if you didn't make the playoffs, you're not playing again this year. We know that. But I mean,
Right.
I don't know if they're going to even be able to get something done. I mean, you've heard this plan about playing at Disneyland and all that stuff, but who knows? I mean,
Yep.
who knows? I don't know. I think baseball will have some kind of season, but
I do too. Yeah.
and they can play it till November 1st. The NFL is willing to back up. They don't really want to, but they will back up to October 15th for stadium issues if they have to. And for broadcast issues, the World Series could be played in November. You could get something done, but hey, I wonder. I actually wonder what makes more sense: something that's haphazard or not playing at all. I don't know what makes more sense.
I know. Well, that's the other part. The other thing that I think you have to be concerned about would be this. And again, I understand baseball is trying to do everything they can to get some kind of season in this year. But I applaud them for that. And the last that I heard, basically, 80 to 100 games through July through October, thereabouts, and then play the postseason in November, maybe even go to early December. But the other thing I think you have to worry about if you do that, what's next year going to be? What are you going to do next year? You're going to start spring training on February 10th next year? I don't think you can do that. If you're going to play late into this year, I think you have to also think about what you're going to do next year as well, too, before you even get there. I think you have to at least.
Well, that's why I think that's especially true. And we're talking about Eddie Coleman with hockey and basketball, which think that they're definitely going to affect next season, and they don't really want to. They want to be able to start fresh next year, but no one knows if they'll be able to start. If you listen to these guys, and like everyone else, I pay attention to all these reports and everything. And if you believe even the most optimistic vaccine reports, like the one out of Oxford University, they're still saying it would be next June at the earliest that they could rush it would be next June. That would be something. The mumps that they rushed, and I know it's a different world now, but the mumps took 4 years. That's the fastest vaccine ever brought to market. 4 years on a massive level for the mumps, and they said that was quick. They said maybe, I saw a guy last night that was one of these experts on it, and he said if they rushed and they really cut every corner and everything went optimum, I could see maybe they have a vaccine by next June. He said maybe that could be mass produced. That's still a year. That's another year away.
Yeah, I think, Dr. Anthony Fauci was on. I heard him this morning, and they were talking about remdesivir, which is, supposedly it has cut back at least the recuperation time for people with COVID in the hospital.
And that's an intravenous drug that's given for 7 to 10 days.
Right, and it's an expensive drug.
Yes, it is.
Apparently, but I think he said that if everything went according to Hoyle and everything was fine, that you could look at January possibly as having it.
Right, and that's just for a therapeutic drug. And that's only one for the real sick people. I mean, that's only for people who are in the hospital because it's only intravenous.
Yeah, exactly. And actually, listen, I pay attention to what Dr. Fauci says. I think he's been great during this. He's a breath of fresh air. He's concise. He's direct. But even he has kind of waffled a little bit. I mean, if you think back to either last week or a little before that, he was saying, well, baseball does have a chance. I think that we could get back and you will see baseball. And then just the other day, I think yesterday, as a matter of fact, he said, I'm not sure if we're going to have if you're going to.
I don't think you're going to have fans. I don't think you're going to have fans at any. I don't think you're going to have any fans at a game. I don't think you're going to have fans at an American sport for this calendar year. I do not think that's going to happen. And I mean, I'm thinking about what are they going to do for college football? I mean, are they even going to have students on the campuses? I mean, no less. Well, I don't know what's going to happen for a sport like college football, but baseball. I mean, you would know this better than me. Do you think if they poll the players, do you think they want to get paid, which we know, and they already got paid through May 31st.
The end of May, right?
Right, they got $170 million. But if they poll the players and they know there's no fans all year, you think they vote yes or they vote no?
I think actually the players would vote yes because I think there are enough guys who need the money and want to play. There are some,
And you got to
obviously,
realize the money's not going to be the same. We know that. They
money will
if they
not be the
think the
same,
money's
right?
the same, then they're not coming back. Because if they think they're
Right.
getting paid in full, these guys, some teams would lose $300,000 a week.
No question. The interesting, the 170 million that you talk about, through the
Right.
end of May. Basically, when you break that down, it's 30 teams.
Right. It's
You know, you gotta have
$4,000 a day, a guy.
yeah,
$4,700 a guy.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It's not a heck of a lot of money.
Not for them. No.
I know the Mike Trouts and the Clayton Kershaws and maybe some others can sit out a season and it's not going to affect them. And there are a bunch of other guys too. But I think the rank and file, for the most part, you're talking about a lot of guys who are making a little above minimum, even though that's a lot of money. It's not big in baseball terms, and I think they need the money, and I think they're going to want to play. So I would say the majority would vote to play. I don't know how that affects the other people who might say, hey, I can't be bothered. I'm not going to do it. But I would imagine that most teammates would fall in line. That's what I would think.
I just see a report here right now. It says that the governor of California says the beaches now will remain closed till May 15th because he has 2,500 new cases today. So the beaches stay closed till May 15th. So
it's scary, Mike.
It's not going. It's not going away right now. It's just not.
I read something. The island of Hokkaido in Japan, which is just off the coast of Japan, was one of the first places in Japan to be infected. But they shut things down rather early, and they avoided most problems and most deaths. And they opened things back up. And now they have to close it back down because it's opening up. It has come back in.
Well, the guy I've been watching, and there's a couple of them, and Fauci gets the attention, but there's a couple other guys that have, renowned, and they say it's going to. They say hook or crook. It's like gravity. It's going to seek out 60% of the people in the country. It's going to seek them out, and that's all there is to it. So realize. And if we get tested eventually, whenever that is, and we who knows, but we'll then find out how many people actually have it, and then we'll know what kind of shape we're in. I mean, but I got a feeling like there's still a lot of stuff like that, and it's gonna change every bit of life, but it's gonna change sports incredibly. That's all there is to it. I mean, what are you going? Not just that. How about concerts? I mean, how about Broadway concerts, even restaurants, movie theaters? I mean, all this stuff is going to change. Planes, hotels. I mean, none of it's going to be the same until we get a vaccine.
Well, one thing that baseball, I know, is they've kicked around a lot of scenarios, but if they do indeed at some point open up ballparks, they're not going to be able to be filled. If you have a 10-seat row, you're going to have maybe 5 people in those seats. But the other problem is that you've got to have ushers, you've got to have security people in order to watch these people, to keep spacing and concession lines.
Absolutely, you got to park cars and security, and you can't have concessions. And if you open the bathrooms, you can't have concessions. You're going to start selling food.
That's a good point.
If you're going, but you got to open the bathrooms, and you got to be able to serve some kind of refreshments. You can't ask people not to drink anything, and you don't want people to water fountains. So, and most stadiums don't even have water fountains. I don't think anymore. Anyway,
I don't think they do either.
Right. So you got to open concession stands. I mean, that creates a whole different deal. Nobody's going to eat open food that people are touching anymore. That's gone.
Right.
Those kind of things are gone. That could be a guy who's slinging hot dogs or flipping things over at the counter. That's not happening. I mean, it changes all that stuff. These stadiums are almost going to have to be redesigned.
Yeah. No, listen. I don't know if are you a real sports fan? The Brian Gumbo.
I did not. I haven't seen a show about this, but I mean, I know they do a great job. I have not seen a show about this.
Catch the one that just came out. I think it just came out this week. But
is that the one that Nance was on too? When Nance, I heard him and Breeny and Buck were on it, but I didn't see it.
And Joe Buck,
yeah,
and they actually Buck and Nance looked like they had been at home for a while. Breen looked like he just woke up out of bed. Breeny looked great. Breeny always looks good. He looks good. He looks like he could roll out of bed in a suit and just pick up.
Yeah, he lives a quick walk from me, but I haven't seen him.
Yeah.
We live pretty close, but I haven't seen him.
Well, they had a fascinating story on there about Game 0 in Milan, Italy. This was a soccer team from Bergamo, which was outside of Milan. And in soccer, this was a down and out team, which had finally made the Champions League, the A
Right.
League in Italy. And basically the entire town went to this game in Milan, which they won and scored 6 or 7 goals or whatever. And the doctors were commenting. They were watching the screen or the videotape on the goal scores, and they could see the fans erupting. And he said, "This is a perfect storm for coronavirus. You have projectiles coming out of everyone's mouth, projecting onto people. Soon enough, less than 2 weeks later, almost the entire town was sick and in hospitals. And
Unbelievable.
the death rate just soared at that time. So that'll tell you what's in store for people. If this continues the way it is, and the chances you take in going to a sporting event with a lot of people, it's probably not going to happen.
Have you been in touch with any Mets players at all? Have you been in contact with any players? I mean, you're friendly with some. Have you been in contact with any?
I've texted with a lot of guys. I actually.
And what are they doing?
Well, they're trying to do their work. Stephen Matz and Jacob deGrom in particular.
Are most of them in the spring training city? I know that a lot of them have homes there. So are they in most of them in the Port St. Lucie area or in the Tampa area for the Yankees, or are they all over the place?
They're kind of all over the place. Jake was home, and Stephen lives in Nashville. His wife is from Nashville. She's a country singer. And
who's that, Matt?
He's been working. Stephen Matz, yeah.
Oh, his wife's a country singer? I didn't know that. Okay.
His wife is part of the Canes.
Really?
Canes. It's a family. Yeah.
Yeah, because he's got I know his family because they're from Long Island. They're nice people, really nice people.
Yeah.
Here. I've met them a couple of times. Yeah, they're really nice guys and they're really nice folks. But I didn't realize he married a country singer, huh?
He did, and they're very good. I can't remember her name. Her name escapes me, but it's interesting because Steve's done a lot of work with the first responders, firemen, policemen, etc. And he's kept that up through this thing. He's done a terrific job. He really has. He's been in touch. He just sent a video to a policeman who was knocked down with COVID and is in the hospital at this point in time. His fellow officers asked him to send something, and Steve got right on it. Did it. So,
well, it's been crazy here, as you know. Long Island's been just like New York City. It's been crazy. It's been hit like unbelievable. I mean,
but he's working out down in Nashville.
Right.
Jake has thrown with his father down in his home down in Florida.
Right.
I think it's Deal in Florida where he is. But basically, guys are home. Pete Alonso is down in the Tampa area. He's working out. But everybody's just trying to, stay in shape. But nobody knows at this point in time what's in store, or there'll be some kind of spring training or some kind of prelim. How long that's going to be, I don't know. But at least the thought is that I think at this point, sometime if things start to clear up and you get some good news on the reopenings and that you can get together sometime in June, maybe mid-June, and get this underway in July. And like you, I do think there will be baseball. I just don't know what shape it's going to take place and what kind of crazy rules are going to be implemented as well for baseball this year. I have a feeling there'll be a few of them too.
Someone like James, when people hear, when LeBron James, remember, he's so competitive. Plus, he knows he doesn't have that many years left, and he's got a first-place team. He wants to crack a title this year. I mean, he doesn't have that many years, So he's thinking, hey, I already played the regular season. I don't have to play anymore. So when you hear him saying that, of course he's going to say that. So you know that's the case when he's coming out saying, hey, I don't know any players. As soon as it's safe, we would like to finish and go through the postseason. I'm ready. Our team is ready. Nobody should cancel anything. That's true. We understand that, and I love the sentiment. I hope they do, but I understand it's not an easy thing to do. That's for sure.
No, it isn't. DeGrom is one of the least selfish players that I know.
Yes.
He's all about team. He's a great teammate. But I did ask him about, have you thought about if the season just bypasses you? This is a guy that's headed for the Hall of Fame, at least off the last 2 seasons. So you lose a season like this with his age. He's not a young guy.
No, he's not.
In his 30s now. Yeah. You lose that. That's a possibility that it might affect something like that.
It could. It's a very real point. Absolutely could. Yeah.
I mean, I don't honestly, deep down, I don't think he cares, but it's something that, you think about anyway, because I don't think anybody wants to lose a season like that, especially when you're in the prime of your career. And I'm sure Pete Alonso feels the same way. I didn't ask him about it, but, off a season like he had last year and bursting on the scene, I'm sure he doesn't want to just pack in a season and wait till next year. So I don't think any of these guys do. But what it's going to look like and what it's going to be, I have no idea at this point in time because it changes day by day.
Here's the thing LeBron just tweeted. I saw some reports about executives and agents saying they want to cancel the season. That's absolutely not true. I have not spoken to anybody who wants to do that. As soon as it's safe, we would like to finish. I'm ready. Our team is ready. Nobody should be canceling anything. But you know what? I don't know that that's going to be the case. That I know that a lot of the teams said, you know what, show us a safe return. And I heard, a couple of the owners discuss it and say, hey, as soon as they show me a safe return, I'm okay. But until they show me a safe return, I'm not back. And that's what Cuban, who I think has been very realistic during this thing, was saying, hey, when you show me a safe plan, I'm good. But I haven't seen one yet. And until I see one, we're not doing anything. So, I mean, I think that's where they are. And, Mark Lasry, I heard him today because he was on CNBC, and he obviously owns the Bucks. He wants to play. He's got the best record in the league. Either that or he wants to be declared the champion right now. I mean, which isn't going to happen. But, I somehow I think the NBA is easier because of the stadium issues are easier. You can it's fewer guys that you have to control.
Yes.
It's small. You can play in smaller buildings with just TV and it's easier than hockey. It's easier than a stadium for football. It's easier than baseball. So that's their advantage that they have. But boy, when you look and you really follow this along, only thing we see now is things being canceled. I mean, the last couple of days we've seen the Hall of Fame canceled. We've seen the Little League World Series canceled. We've seen Saratoga canceled. And it's one after another after another. The NFL cuts salaries. They cut salaries. Everyone's saying, why are you cutting salaries? They're cutting salaries because they know already that the second part of their season is not going to be played in front. When they're in games, they're not going to be played in front of fans. And they also probably know, too, that NFL properties right now isn't selling anything probably. And, even that's probably been down, from which they sell all year. So, I mean, they sell jerseys. As soon as the draft comes out, they sell jerseys. But, I'm sure those are way down because people are not working. So from that standpoint, it makes it very tough. I do believe in my heart of hearts, I'd give basketball a 50-50. I don't know, have an educated guess on hockey. I'd say baseball is about 90-10 that they play something. That would be my opinion.
Yeah.
I would think college football is in big trouble.
Yeah, I think it was interesting because you alluded to this before about football and the kids not being back on campus, but there was a report that the NFL is looking into possibly playing on Saturdays as well if college football isn't there.
Yep.
If there is no college football, they would play or could play on a Saturday and a Sunday.
Well, remember, college football has spring practice for 20 days. They don't even have anybody on campus this year for spring practice.
That's right. I know. It's nuts. I don't know. I totally agree. I don't know how you can do that. If you don't have kids or the student body on campus, you can't bring kids onto campus and at that point in time and have them suit up and play football. You can't do that.
No, I mean, listen, to how disruptive this has been to college students. I know just with my son, who's a freshman, Jack in high school. Him just going through the spring and how disruptive this was. He was the baseball team was practicing every day. Then all of a sudden their season shut down. Then they're out of class and they're just doing video and everything. Same thing. Emily Harrison both doing video every day. They get up and do video every morning with their classes and everything.
Yep.
But this is this whole thing across America. If you're a college student, this has really got to be incredibly disruptive. And if you're a college senior, this has got to be crazy. It really is, you know?
Mike, I agree. I was talking with my daughter about this too, and the high school seniors and the college seniors are people I particularly feel sorry for because those are rituals. The prom, everything for high school, everything that the graduation, obviously. The things you go through, you can't ever get back.
Right, and those poor kids who are high school seniors don't know where they're going next year.
Yeah, and a lot of kids, I was reading something today, a lot of kids are deferring for a year, or they're going to work, or they're going the second semester. But the high school seniors and college seniors this year, I just feel particularly sorry for, just simply because the things that you normally go through and that you look forward to going through 4 years of high school and 4 years of college, you don't have, and you'll never get them back either. It's it's terrible, but everybody's in the same boat. That's the only way you can look at it, unfortunately.
No, that's basically it. And, this time we're going to be meaning sports, we're going to be the ones that are the last back, not the ones who lead the way back like we did last time. I mean, after 9/11, we kind of led the way back. Now it's going to be the other way around. Sports is going to be the sports. And, I think about it, if you're in the, so many different businesses, but if you're in the airline business or the hotel business or the, ticket business, or you're in the, concert business or Broadway. I mean, imagine these Broadway actors and actresses, and stuff. I mean, who knows when they're going to get a chance to be, how jammed in those buildings are. I mean, how cramped a Broadway theater is. I mean, with those little theaters. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, to think of how this has impacted so many people, it's crazy.
Yeah, everyone says, it'll be, you can open up, but opening up does not mean that you're going to open up to full restaurants.
No, you can't open to full restaurants anyway. And to open a restaurant, when people open a restaurant to 50%, those restaurants don't make any money. Good restaurants can't open at 50%. They have high rent, they have expensive chefs, and they need to be full and turn it over on weekends. No, turn a table over more than once. I mean, let's be honest. New York City doesn't work socially distancing. You cannot get to New York City socially distancing. Right. You can't get up an elevator socially distancing. New York City does not work from a socially distancing standpoint. I heard the governor today talking about cleaning the cars of the subway every night.
Subway.
I mean, come on. You know what that's going to cost?
Oh my God, I know. Yeah, exactly. That's a gargantuan task every night. I mean, I don't know how you do it.
I mean, the cost is going to be insanity. I mean, what things are going to it's amazing. It really is. And you can think about it, no matter who it is. You can think about your walk of life and how it's been touched, and then realize everybody else has too. And we've never seen the guy. Here's a perfect perspective. The airline guy I saw on TV today said this is 9 times worse than 9/11.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I totally agree with that. As terrible and horrendous as that was, there was a finite thing to it. You knew who it was. You saw what happened, and you could collectively get back together after that, and eventually this country did. In some parts and some people it took longer, but you could collectively get back from it. You have no way of even knowing, where this thing is and how much devastation it can cause at this point in time. So,
how about a new manager? Yeah. Have you been in touch with the new Met manager? This got to be tough on him too. I mean, you wait your life to become a new manager, and all of a sudden your first season gets thrown into complete upheaval. I mean, how many guys? There are going to be extra pitches when they come back. There's going to be extra people on the roster. I mean, they could play double headers. There's all kinds of possibilities.
Louis is going to be very good at that. He's very detail oriented. He'll be fine. I just spoke with him. We actually texted. I haven't really spoken with him, but we texted, and he's doing okay. He's anxious to get back and get his feet wet. Let's put it that way. But I think he'll be fine when it gets going. But you're right. There's a lot.
Where does he live, Eddie?
He's down in Florida.
Okay.
He's down in Florida now. Yeah, he's down near Port St. Lucie. So he's just waiting, for what's going to happen and where they're going to go. And I would assume anyway. I think that most people would go back to their spring training sites. I guess. I don't.
Oh yeah, it's got at least. I saw the NBA guys said they needed 11 days individual drills and 2 weeks of scrimmaging. So they needed 25 days. Yeah. 25 days. Yeah. Baseball players need at least 3 weeks, I think. At least 3 weeks.
Think about that, though, Mike. The NBA and the NBA actually, I think they gave the green light to some teams to open up, but then they pulled it back.
Yes,
they gave it, and they actually pushed it.
Well, because you're going to see a lot of that yin and yang going back and forth. You can open, no, you can't. Yes, you can, no, you can't. Because everybody's in control of different parts of the town and the area too.
Yeah, but I mean, think of what you just said. They need 11 days of basically kind of individual workouts,
right,
and then a couple of weeks
of scrimmaging.
That's a month. That's a month right
Yeah,
there.
and that's why they talked about coming back and playing a couple of games, because the reason why is they said, well, we need to scrimmage against each other. Otherwise, and we don't want to do it against our own team. We don't want to play exhibition games. We might as well play real games. And, that's why they thought about doing that. But then you have to bring back the teams that aren't going to make the playoffs, and those teams have no interest in coming back.
Exactly. Oh, exactly. I know. It's crazy. It's crazy to think about. There are so many variables with each sport, and obviously, the variables don't stop just with the sport.
And I haven't paid attention to hockey, so I don't know what hockey's thinking. I mean, you probably have paid some attention to it. I don't even know what hockey's even thinking.
Well, they have an idea of playing, I think it was 4 cities that they had zeroed in on, and kind of having a round-robin sort of tournament where 24 of the 29 teams would be in the play. But it sounded confusing to me, so I don't even know how far along they are. But, there were a couple of cities in Canada and then a couple in the U.S. as well, too. But, and you divvy up the teams there, 6 teams here, 6 teams there. But it sounds convoluted and confusing, like every other, solution to getting the.
All right, have you watched Ozark?
I have, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I have not. I have to go back because I watched season 3. I did not watch the first.
That's really good, Ozark.
It's
really,
yeah.
Really well done, well written. What wicked women characters, unbelievable. I'll give you one from the other night. Did you see Bad Education?
Yes, I saw it last night.
Wasn't it good?
I loved it.
Wasn't that well done? Well, first of all, really good acting. Really good.
Jackman, Allison Janney.
Yeah, Allison Janney's great, and that's the next town over from me, and that's a true story. That whole thing is a true. They embellished it a little bit, and that the girl was the one who uncovered it. But Newsday's the one that got into the deep dive. But she did uncover it in the high school newspaper. And, I mean, that became an enormous scandal. That was a really well-done show. Really well done. Someone told me to watch it. I watched it the other night. It was really good.
Did you do Tiger King?
I did not. I did not, and I did not hear great things about it. People told me don't. I didn't do it. I didn't go there. I did not.
It was very popular. I was drafted into it by my family. I enjoyed it, but it was it is strange. It's a little weird. I'll tell you that.
I watched one with my wife that I have to admit is a very much, and I don't like to use this term, but I will anyway. Chick flick kind of thing, but It was very well done, and it was called, what's the name of it? Reese Witherspoon, Tiny Little Things You Burn.
Yeah, Tiny Little Fires. Or something.
Tiny Little Fire, yeah, that was really good. It was it was definitely a real intense, and it was definitely, I don't know if every guy would love it, but boy, I tell you, it was very well acted. The kids were great, and the leading ladies, especially Reese Witherspoon, were really good. Tiny Little Fires Everywhere or something like that. Very good. Very good. Yep. And they're not having another season. That was it. They said then they have been begged to have another season, and then they're not having another season. I think it's on Hulu, and it was really good. Very good. Check that one out if you haven't seen it. It's very, very good.
You know what's interesting? I was saying this to somebody. I've watched a lot of music specials. Some like the country music. They had awards. Right. I actually enjoy this process where they have to be at home and they kind of do all their stuff acoustically and kind of kicked back. There are no glamorous settings, no fireworks going off, and all the stuff you usually see during award shows. I kind of like it where it's all stripped down. Let's put it that way, and playing the music that way kind of naturally. It's been enjoyable to me to watch it that way. I don't know how other people feel, but it's kind of interesting. I guess maybe performers are going to have to get used to that in the future because I don't know how many concerts are going to be.
I have no idea. I'm telling you, the world's crazy. Eddie, stay safe. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks. I'll talk to you.
All right, Mike. Good
Thanks.
Talking to you.
Be well. Eddie C. Back after this. We're back on the Fan right after this, and it's